All right. All right. And we should be live. We should be live. Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everybody is having a wonderful Wednesday night. I know myself, I am. Guys, my name is Billy TKO. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to hang out in the chat, talk, man. I'm excited to see you guys. If you guys would like, you guys can drop a super chat if you want to help engage into the conversation a little bit more. Tonight, we're going to be talking about AEW Dynamite. It was the go home show for Revolution. It was a very, very hectic show, but overall it was not bad. In today's video or live stream, whatever the case is, I want to talk about it. I want to have a conversation, and I want to really talk about not so much the show itself, because I get it. Everybody does like live streams and stuff like that. Overall, look, I'm not trying to do a post show or anything along those lines. What I'm trying to do is engage with you guys in conversation and really make this something special, because I get it. We could run through the analysis. We could do all of that shit. But at the end of the day, none of that fucking matters. So we're going to go over the important things that happened on the show. And after that, we'll talk a little bit more and hang out for a little while, guys. I appreciate you guys being here. We're going to go ahead and call this thing the TKO Corner. So welcome to the TKO Corner. I hope everybody is having a wonderful night. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and just kick things off. And I want to talk about the MJF and yeah, Justin, I agree. It was a solid show. I want to talk about MJF and Hangman Page and kind of really hone in on that, because one thing that we've noticed about AEW is one of their flaws has been not being able to tell good stories. At least that's kind of been everybody's argument as of late, right? Is that, the stories haven't been that great. David, I appreciate it, man. But everybody wants to argue that the shows haven't been that great. And I would say, and I would argue you a little bit and say that you should go watch what MJF and Hangman Page are doing, because what those guys are cooking up is something beyond special. Like, I don't know what it is, but we talk about a feeling inside of AEW, and MJF and Hangman Page, I'm not saying that they're fully restoring that feeling to what AEW was, but they are bringing some of that original AEW feel back to their show. I tried to go into tonight's show and watch it without any social media, and tried to watch it without anybody telling me like, oh, this was bad or whatever the case is. Because here's the thing about pro wrestling. People are going to critique it no matter what. They are going to have something to say. They are going to feel some type of way about it. But overall, what I witnessed tonight was a very, very solid show. I almost watched a man get burnt on fire in Hangman Page. That would have been insane. And for a second there, I really thought AEW was going to do it. I thought they were going to pull the trigger and they were going to let MJF burn Hangman Page. I was like, there's no fucking way they're going to do that. AEW has nuts. Don't get it twisted. I don't know if Tony Khan's nuts are hanging like that. I don't. But overall, here's the thing. That MJF and Hangman Page storyline, it just brings back a feeling that I once had with AEW, and it reminds me like, hey, dude, MJF is still a really solid entertainer. That guy still sells really well, and he still has that feeling. I know people will make the argument like, he's doing the same thing over and over again when that's not necessarily the case. You know, this guy is out here just making sure that this show is really, really good. Justin says, I wish that MJF and Page feud had the world title. Man, that fire. Yeah, Justin, I actually agree. And I want to talk a little bit about that and how that is the one critique that I have in this feud is that it doesn't involve the world title. Now, I get it. Not every story needs a world title, but this one felt like the story that could utilize and have something to offer with the world title. I do think that Hangman Page is going to end up with the world title at some point. I do. I think if here's the thing, I think Cope will win it on Sunday. And I know between Ricochet and Swerve, whoever is going to win that match will end up facing the winner of the world championship match. I don't think Swerve or Ricochet will actually win the title. I actually think the title will be in the hands of Hangman Page. I think AEW would be a tad bit foolish to go out and give that title to anybody but Hangman Page because what they are doing. Yes, David, I actually agree with you heavy. I think that the MJF Adam Page match should have some type of fire, especially because they're hinting at it. And that was kind of the thing that they kept pulling up was like, Hangman, he burned the house down and he's insane, but now I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you how much of a hypocrite I'm going to show you guys how much of a hypocrites you are. So MJF really playing into that fire. I think that on Sunday, now that you've played into it, you really have to go balls to the wall here. And I do think that AEW will go balls to the wall here and actually pull that off. How well they pull it off, that's to be seen. It could be sloppy, whatever. I don't know. But overall, I'm very, very excited for that match. AEW has completely sold me on this pay-per-view. In the go-home show, it was not bad. It did everything that I needed it to do. Justin says, I think Cope beats Mox, but Christian cashes in his contract and beats him for the title. Listen, that would be a really good storyline right there, Justin. I actually like that take a lot. I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't. I truthfully wouldn't. I actually would be a pretty big fan of that in itself. Because I think Christian could utilize the belt too. Regardless of the fact, I think the belt is going on somebody who is an original AEW star. I don't think it stays on Christian or Cope for a long time. I don't, because Christian and Cope, they don't need the title. They don't. Do I think it would be cool if you wanted to do that? For sure. But overall, you do not need the title on Christian or Adam Copeland. You just don't. So leave the title off of him. Now, I will say that whether or not it's all going to depend on how they tell that story, because we're not dumb. We're wrestling fans. We know the history between Christian and Edge and the friendship there. That could be just as good if you do it right. That could be just as good as what Kevin and Sammy have done, and you can make it that serious, right? You can make that friendship really feel like something, because what they've done recently is they've just kind of played into it a little bit. But I think if you really want to dive into that storyline, you can do so, and you can do it in a really, really serious manner. Overall, I'm very excited for what they do on Sunday and how they capitalize on that. Because overall, right, no matter what we sit here and think, that title, whether it ends up on Cope, whether it ends up on Christian, I do believe Tony Khan is going to give it to Hangman at some point in the near future. I know it sucks because he almost got a hot potato the belt a little bit, but I'm almost completely fine with hot potatoing the belt if it means in the long run we are going to get something special out of it. Now, talking about the MJF Hangman Page thing and kind of switching into what Cope's doing, I kind of want to juggle into the match that Cope had tonight with him and Wheeler Yuta. And my God, a very, very good match. and something is brewing in that Death Rider storyline, which to me, oh my God, thank you, goodness gracious. We need that Death Rider story to end. I get it. I talked about it in my video that I posted around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. I talked about it in there. I get it. Jon Moxley has been your guy. He's been your comfort. He's been the guy that you can trust and things of that nature. But right now, he does not feel like the guy with I'm completely zoned out when the Death Riders are on. I am. I'm just going to be upfront and honest. When they are on, I'm zoned out. But now you're starting to add a little intrigue with the handshake at the end and Cope being like, oh, this is what respect looks like. I'm a huge, huge fan of that. I like that because what it does is it's now pissed off Jon Moxley even more. And now Jon Moxley's he's in the back. He's like, look, I'm all alone now. You got what you wanted. Cope is living in Moxley's head rent free. David says Hangman should either win the title at Double or Nothing or All In. David, I would actually like to see it happen at All In. If you're going to do it, give it to him at All In and make that a special moment because the shit that Hangman Page is doing now is the best shit on it's the best on AEW TV. Justin said, question, will the AEW World title get a redesign or look the same? Justin, that's actually a really good question. I would like to see the title get some kind of redesign. I think it has a very, I don't know if it fits the mold that AEW is in currently right now. I don't hate it though. I'm not mad at the belt. I actually like the way it looks overall. But regardless of the fact, you can go ahead and redesign it if you want, if you really want to. But back to Jon Moxley. It's just kind of gotten tired. The Death Riders thing, it's just not for me. It could be for you guys. I'm not 100% sure. But for me, it just is not working the way that I would like it to. Yeah, Justin, for the Texas crowd, there is no better person than to have win than Hangman Page. Yeah, David, you could do that. You could redesign it with the side plates. For sure. For sure. So there was a little bit more into that because, Justin, we talked a little bit, you had mentioned Christian winning the title. There was something else that happened later in the night between Max Caster and Jay White. Jay White obviously come out winning the match between him and Max Caster. Jay White went on and said that he's going to be watching what Copeland is doing. So there is a fine chance that you could have Jay White turn heel on Sunday on Adam or Cope, whatever you want to call him. You could have him turn heel there, and you could do something really special with those two. Because here's the thing. You can make an argument that Jay White could win that title. Jay White would not be a bad person to put the belt on. In fact, he is somebody that I feel like has been long overdue to win that title. Again, if you want to get to Hangman Page, something refreshing to me would be a story like Jay White and Hangman Page. That would add like a refresher to what AEW is and what they stand for. Jay White and Hangman Page would be an absolute banger of a match at something like All In. Because that's what I'm saying, Justin. Yeah, I think he turns on Cope. I definitely think that is something that could happen. It's something that we see take place. I don't hate that. I'm not against it. I would actually be a really, really big fan of that. Because I do think overall, Jay White, again, him and Hangman Page down the line, that's a match that you can make at All In if you really want to, quote unquote, restore the feeling, right? This is a really good way to do it. Jay White and Hangman Page, let them battle it out for the belt at All In Texas and let them tear the house down, dude. That would be fucking insane. I would love every second of that. Like, that is the one thing that AEW is missing. That's the feeling. It's shit like that. Like, we know that those guys are going to tell, number one, a great story, and number two, they're going to put on a great match. That is the shit that we want as wrestling fans. That is it. All right, David. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. David says, prediction. Copeland pins Moxley. White celebrates with Copeland. Low blow to Copeland. And Christian Cage comes in and cashes in on Cope. Boom. Very, very easy. The story tells itself. If you want to do that, you know you can. You know that you can. So, yeah, I would love to see it. It's something that I'm really behind. I'm a really big, big fan of the story that they're telling on here. Now, I'm more intrigued that I feel in my heart of hearts that AEW is going to pull the trigger and take the belt off Moxley, because I feel like they now can trust. They can trust somebody else with that title. They don't need to have it on Cope. They don't need to have it on Christian for a long time. Excuse me. There are a lot of good stories that could utilize the belt. You can make an argument that Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, they could utilize a belt in their storyline. That could help elevate. I'm not saying that the story's not good, but you could help elevate them with a title, with the world title at that. Speaking of those two, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher. There was a 8-man tag match tonight. We seen Kyle Fletcher at the end attack Will Ospreay. Very, very good stuff with Mark Davis questioning things and then hitting Will Ospreay with the chair. Obviously, we know that Mark Davis for the last couple of weeks has kind of been in his head about things and how he's going to go about them. He wasn't sure. It does look like overall that he's made his mind up. Yeah, Justin, I'm going to talk about that in a second. That is a conversation that we need to have because I talked about it in my video today. So look, Will Ospreay gets attacked by Kyle Fletcher. He gets beat down. They beat down Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Will Hobbs, whatever. The main point here was that they were selling that Will Ospreay may not be 100% at Revolution for the steel cage match. If you want me to be 100% honest, if AEW is smart, Will Ospreay can lose in this match. I don't think it hurts the reputation of Will Ospreay. I think it elevates Kyle Fletcher. So I would actually not be mad if Kyle Fletcher went on to win this match at Revolution. I would be a huge fan of that. I think it just elevates Kyle Fletcher to where he needs to be at. Okay, so David, you sing a little bit of a different praise. David says, I think Mark Davis will cost Kyle Fletcher, setting up Fletcher versus Davis at Double or Nothing. If Mark Davis was a tad bit more interesting, I might be intrigued in that. The problem with it is I'm not fully sold on Mark Davis. Like, I get it, Aussie, whatever. I understand it. I just don't know if I'm fully behind it. I don't know. I'm just not fully sold on him yet. I loved what him and Fletcher did as a tag team, but overall, not fully sold. And then we had Takeshita and we had the Kenny vignette, that vignette with Kenny and Takeshita. Oh my God. You want to talk about good television? There you go. There it is. That was great television. Very, very simple stuff from AEW. Very simple. You don't have to do too much. You don't have to do too little. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? That is great television. Tony, more vignettes. Everything that you're doing should have a vignette. It 100% should. If you are smart, do more vignettes, because what Takeshita and Kenny just did, amazing. Sold me on the match. Yeah, Justin, I'm not, like I said, I'm not sold fully on Mark Davis. I can't get behind him. I understand that they're trying to get me to get behind him, but I can't right now. As much as I want to sit here and say like, oh yeah, I understand and I'm with it. I'm not fully sold on on what they're doing. I'm really not. So, yeah, we know that whatever they're about to do, look, Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay, Takeshita, Kenny, it's all going to be great. I think this is the third match with Kenny and Takeshita. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is their third match. And I know Kenny has yet to beat Takeshita in AEW. I like that they told the story of their history. Kenny calling him young boy and stuff like that. I'm a really, really big fan of that. David, yeah, got to build up. You got to build Mark Davis up. You gotta do something for me to get behind the guy. You just do. You just do. At this moment in time, there is nothing that I find intriguing about him. I find everything else intriguing. The Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay stuff, that is obviously intriguing. AEW has done a really good job. All right, so look, Justin, is TK that smart to keep doing that? Here's the thing. He was smart enough to do this. I don't think. All right, look. People will say that, oh, Tony's not smart enough to do that. He was smart enough to do it here, and he understood that it needed it. There are a lot of things in AEW that need to happen, and vignettes can be utilized in a lot of positions. So my take on it is, my personal take, if I'm being 100% honest, is that yes, I think TK is and can be smart enough to do that. Because, all right, look, Tony gets a lot of shit. Let's just be upfront and honest. Tony gets a lot of shit nowadays, especially. That man is getting rimmed. Just going to be upfront and honest. But the thing about it is that no matter what or how somebody feels, I think he's coming to a point where he's trying to make things make sense and he's trying to line things up. And for that, you got to say, okay, I can't be mad at that. I can't be mad at somebody at least trying to put in effort. I understand that it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I understand that it's not for everybody. I get it. But you have to say, hey man, this guy's trying, and he's trying to do something good. Because we all know, we all have said it, AEW is not going under. Tony Khan, he has the money to fund it. He's going to continue to fund it. So therefore, it's not going under because Tony don't want it to go under. Let's just be upfront and let's be fucking honest. Tony does not want that shit to go under. He's going to do what he can with it. Now, here's the thing. If that is the case, like I said in my video earlier, if you want to make your company better, you have to bring back the original fan. In AEW, from the looks of it, are trying to get back that original fan. They're trying to bring back that feeling that they once had. So I talked about it in my live stream earlier with Ango when we were live for NXT. I said, I plan on going into watching AEW as a fresh viewer. I turned off my phone. I didn't look at Twitter. I didn't do none of that shit. I watched this with my own eyes, with no behind the scenes backlash bullshit. It was straightforward, upfront. This is what it is. Uncut, raw. Okay. This is actually an interesting fact. David, look at you, dude. Getting the facts. Said, just looked on Cage Match, and Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita have met 16 times in tag matches and singles match. The first match was back in 2012, and yes, I am also surprised. Okay, so look, that is overall. I don't know if that's their AEW meeting, because I'm going strictly based off of the things that they have done in AEW rather than the things that maybe they have done before. Justin, you say, I agree with you, but hopefully TK sees it that way. Yeah, Justin, I hope the same thing. I hope Tony does see it that way. I hope he does. And talking about TK and some things that he needs to see, he needs to see that Mercedes is not interesting. Justin, you brought it up earlier. She's not interesting. She's really not. I'm not sold on her right now. I liked what her and Harley were doing. Right now, not sold on the match at Revolution. I think you're just putting Mercedes on the show to put her on the show. It's like a comfort thing. You know Mercedes is going to have a good match. That's a very simple thing. The problem is she is not interesting. She is not exciting. And I do not find her very intriguing whatsoever, if I'm being 1,000% honest. Call me a hater, call me what you want. I just don't find it interesting. But again, it was a bulletin point that I talked about in my video today. The one thing that AEW needs to do is they need to make Mercedes more serious. They need to give me something with her, because I know, number one, I knew who Sasha Banks was. Mercedes is amazing. She's an amazing wrestler. She's an amazing storyteller. You just have to get her there. And once she is there, I know she'll be able to do it. Obviously, the stuff with Harley. Okay, David says one time in AEW, and that was back at All Out 2023. I thought they had another match after that. I could be completely tweaking, but I could have swore they had another one after that. Maybe I'm tripping. But Mercedes, she needs to do something to wake up herself, essentially. And Tony needs to do something to get her back on the right track, if I'm being 1,000% honest. Because she deserves to be on the right track. She really does. I think she is such a special talent. And we would be so naive to argue otherwise. You know, you can make the argument that she's boring and things of that nature. Right now, she is. But overall, you know what she's capable of, and you know what she can do. So Tony needs to do something with that. Yeah, Justin, I agree. As fucked up as that is, she is. She's my bathroom break. She's like, okay, all right, I can go run to the bathroom real quick. That's fucked up too, because I'm such a Mercedes fan, and I genuinely hate that we even have to say that. So Tony or anybody in AEW, if you see this or if you run by this, understand that it's not shitting on your company. It is strictly saying that we just want to see better out of it. That's it. That's it. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about Ricochet and Swerve. They did their contract signing, and Swerve said, "You're gonna be known for two things: me reviving your career and your announcer wife." Crowd went nuts. Crowd went ballistic. Swerve was about to get hit with the scissors. He blocked it. He ended up hitting Ricochet with the scissors. Come on. Come on. Easy stuff. You love to see it. You love to see it. Swerve and Ricochet, what they are doing in AEW, very special stuff, man. People will argue that Ricochet sucks, which on the mic, bro, hot boo-boo garbage. Hot boo-boo garbage. But, hey, look, we know what Ricochet can do in a ring. We do. We know that man's special. We know how talented he is. We know the match with him and Swerve is going to be good. And the funny thing of us saying like, oh yeah, he's boo-boo on a mic, is it's so bad it's good. Like it's so cringy that I'm like, fuck, I gotta listen to what he's saying. Like I'm intrigued strictly based off the fact that it's not good. That's special. That's real special. You don't come around that very often. You just don't. You could say, yeah, he sucks. It's no good. Dude, when you find a common medium of like, oh yeah, it's so bad that it's good, you're in special territory. You really are. Very, very special territory. So good on AEW, using somebody's weaknesses as their strength. Hey, fuck it. I'm not mad. I'm not a hater. I'm not going to hate on it. I'm just not. So yeah, look, I've talked about AEW in the past. I've said some things that they needed to fix. They needed to fix they needed to fix how they were perceived in venues. And I kind of want to talk about that for a minute. AEW has been running some really, really awesome venues. This is just a quick little mention. I'll get back to Swerve and Ricochet in a second. AEW's been running some really fucking cool venues. I think I bookmarked it on Twitter. Hold on. They were in Sacramento tonight. So they were in Sacramento tonight. They were at the Sacramento Memorial Auditorium. The venue itself, this is what it looks like. That's a fire venue. And then this is what it looked like tonight on AEW. Very, very fire stuff. So shout out to AEW. Very, very good picking of venues. Very good picking. I think AEW has done a phenomenal, phenomenal job with kind of understanding, like, okay, we're not selling the big arenas or things like that, and utilizing these places like the Sacramento Auditorium. Like, that is fucking awesome. Huge fan of that. So back to Ricochet and Swerve. They ended up having a match in the main event. Ricochet used the belt, pinned Swerve, which tells me that Swerve could potentially be the winner on Sunday. If I know anything about pro wrestling, it's the person who, on that go-home show, they think they got the last laugh. That's normally when the next person wins. So my guess is going to be that Swerve is going to beat Ricochet on Sunday. Yeah, David, the smaller arena does work. It does. People can argue the fact that maybe it hasn't. The smaller arena works. And they're winning with that smaller arena. And obviously you've seen like the crowd talk of AEW finally die down because they've chose to go to smaller venues. Now people just talk shit about them being in a smaller venue, which I think is fucking ridiculous. But overall, what can I say? I mean, people will find anything to talk about and literally just use it as like a coping mechanism and be like, "Oh, look at AEW and look, they're in a small venue." Dude, you're being fucking weird. Yeah, I thought Angle was going to pull up too. I think that's something. I thought he was going to come hang out at least in the chat. He didn't have to pull up in the stream, but at least in the chat, brother. So, look, here's the thing. Tomorrow, right? I want everybody who was in my live stream today and who was watching, if you weren't engaging with the chat, maybe you're just watching. If you're coming from mine and Ango's stream that we do Monday through Friday, understand this. You have one job tomorrow. You call out Ango. You call him out for not being here. He's not supporting his friend. Ain't that fucked up? It's fucked up. I'm kidding. I love Ango. Exactly, David. Saying, people talking shit about AEW and their venue sizes, I understand. I get it because of what they did in the beginning. Regardless of the fact they're not there now, they're running these smaller venues. It is what it is. Nobody really cares that fucking much. And people who do pretend to care, I promise it's all bullshit. And it's people just literally spewing bullshit. NXT does it every Tuesday. AEW and NXT ran the same exact venue in Cincinnati. The same exact venue. And it was solid on both ends. It really fucking was. So Swerve, I definitely think is going to pick up the victory on Sunday. But guys, my live streams won't be super long, especially I don't have a big flow of a chat. But to everybody who is here, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you very much. I know we didn't talk about everything AEW, but I promise we'll talk about more tomorrow when me and Ango are live. I just wanted to come on here, hang out with you guys, kick it a little bit. As you guys see, man, we're working. I put out 2 videos today, went live twice. working as hard as I can, man. And I appreciate everybody who has even just came and kicked it in the live, whatever the case is. Again, I'm not a post show. I'm not doing that shit. Just naturally, I appreciate you guys a bunch. If you're new here, definitely feel free to subscribe. I appreciate you guys subscribing. And make sure to tell Ango. Make sure to go tell his ass. David, respect to you. Justin, make sure you do that. I'm gonna go kick it with my girlfriend now and hang out with her before I go to work, because if you guys would like to know, I'm working while I'm live streaming. So I'll be talking to you guys later.